Welcome back to today's episode of Unapologetic Living. I am excited to have Mike Elliott. We share last name. Welcome, Mike.
Yeah, it's so good to be here.
Thank you for joining me today. I know I think yeah, we are both in the same time zone, right? It's afternoon,
Pacific
3:30.
time.
Oh, you're Pacific time.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're okay, you're way earlier. Okay. So for me, it's 3:30 in the afternoon. Thank you for joining me today. I found your work through social media. I don't know if it was Instagram or Facebook, but I loved your message and you were definitely speaking towards men, to men in the message that I caught. I can't remember the exact message, but I thought I've got to, you know, meet this guy and have him on my show because I think your work with polarity and then your and sacred relating. That's the name of your website.
Yeah.
Um, it's just become really important for me. Um, and the sacred we, because I started dating my partner Joe 6 years ago. Now I had a relationship prior with my kid's father. And I just knew going in, like this one had to be different. And we did, in the beginning, seek out a counselor. I don't know, we were like 6 or 8 months in. We were getting to this sort of like, not a big rough spot, but a tiny rough spot. And I thought, like, no, I want extraordinary. I don't want mediocre. And I know too many individuals who are in these mediocre roommate style marriages and relationships that I definitely don't want to be in. And
Yeah.
so I love your work. I love listening to you and Courtney, that's your wife, on your show. And I'm just really thrilled to have you. Welcome.
Yeah, such a blessing to be here, especially with somebody who wants to claim that thriving relationship that I think we all deserve, but we weren't taught how.
Yeah, would you consider that to be the biggest I hate to say problem, but problem.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest problem that I see in most people, most couples, is the problem of disconnection.
And what do you think? Okay, and then what do you think and why? I mean, aside from this like glaringly obvious one,
Yeah.
right? But
It,
I do think there are other reasons for that
oh
besides
my.
just the phone.
Yeah, oh my God. So in the work that I do that I've been initiated into, and when I say initiation is life kicked my ass. I attracted the wife of my dreams and it ended 7 years later in divorce.
Mm.
And I'd say it was because of this very thing. This goes into Dan Siegel's work. Our level of health is determined based off of our capacity to integrate our already lived life. If we don't integrate our life, then we don't arrive into higher states of functioning. So our brain will not, when our brain's working really well and it's working for us, our prefrontal cortex is online and it's creating coherence across the other hemispheres. And so simply what that means is we are regulated, we feel safe in our bodies, and so we can make sound decisions. Most of us are walking around in the world so focused on me, so focused on self that they're lacking the relationality that creates what we're talking about as a thriving relationship. And so no one's to blame, no one's bad or wrong. But the problem that we have is a disconnection problem at the very beginning when we entered a body. That's between mom and dad. If mom and dad were disconnected when we were born, we are just going to adopt their nervous system. We're going to adopt the dysfunction that they haven't integrated. And that's what I call sacred material. Practically, that means all the patterns that we're going to live out in our life that are either addiction or the type of partner we attract. If we want to understand ourselves better, we have to understand where we came from. Because in the first 3 years of our life, all of the patterns that we're going to learn about in this life are formed in those first 3 years. 95% of our functioning is from our subconscious. That's the patterns that we adopted in those first 3 years. If we didn't get the right ingredients, we're just going to play out all the experiences of what we absorbed in the environment. And so, what's tricky now is we're all adults and we're playing out really underdeveloped patterns. And so it makes it hard to have the thriving relationship. And so we need to learn how to like make a decision and move towards the process of an integration so that we can grow up and then be more adult in the relationships that leads to it thriving.
So you said you had a marriage of 7 years. That's not Courtney, right? That's a prior marriage.
Yeah, yeah. Prior marriage, my first marriage.
So would you say that you were just very self-motivated, selfish? Did you, I mean, sure, I mean, everybody, right? We come together, we meet this person, everything's a go, right? Firing on all cylinders, and then that can go for a little while, right? And then I think, I know for me, you start to see, I don't know, the ick. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, and I do think the ick can be worked through, right? Maybe with the right tools, maybe with the safe environment, maybe with the regulation, right? That one could have. You could work through the ick. I don't know, maybe you think something different. Um, but, when I hear what you just shared, and I know that uh, having a deep wound, abandonment wound, and and I know, like you mentioned, what was going on with the mother and father too at the time of birth. I know even for me, I was taken from my mom, and you know, because she had a fever. And so then there's even this rip, right? So you're being, and then who knows what was going on with them? I mean, they're not together. Um, so I don't really know specifically my question, but it seems like, gosh, when you think about like all of that and the first 3 years of being, like, and this is how you're relating through the world the rest of your life. I mean, do you think, and I know you're in a different, but could you possibly have seen a different way to relate to your first wife at this point in your life? I mean, obviously, everything happens for a reason, right? There probably would not have been the opportunity for growth and expansion that you've experienced without
Yeah.
that relationship, right?
Yeah, there's two things here, and this is what I think is really important, especially in the time that we're in, because we're all getting squeezed in our world. We're in the time of what the indigenous people have tracked for generations. We're in the time of the great change. We can see it. Old systems crumbling, new systems being birthed, and it's frightening because the things that we need to feel certain as a human being are now very uncertain. And so, what this is bringing up to the surface is all the places we haven't integrated. And so, my sense of what you're asking here is, could I have done something different or known something different in my last marriage? No, that was the consciousness that I had. This is why I created an online men's community for men that are curious and motivated to learning why their life sucks and why it's hard to be in a relationship. And it's called the awakening man. And what awakening man means is the very essence of this question, of this place that you're describing. I was an asleep man. Like when I met my last wife, I was asleep, asleep at the wheel. And you might be wondering, if you're listening, Mike, what do you mean asleep at the wheel? My consciousness was so underdeveloped, I was looking at life through a little boy lens. And in the work that I do with clients, I really go into this place, and I want you all to listen to this. In relationship, there are three phases of relational consciousness. And the first phase of relational consciousness is me consciousness. This is who I am. This is what I need. And when we look at the evolution of development, this is a baby. A baby doesn't give a shit what you need, doesn't care how much sleep you have. They cry, they express themselves until their need is met, until the breast is in their mouth and they're getting the milk they need because they're hungry, or until somebody comes over and changes their diaper. Like they just, and they take up space with them And that's so healthy and appropriate. We all are meant to have that part of evolution. And if we get held in it well, we will really love the me. We will know that when I have a need, I can cry out and my need gets met. Or I know myself so well, I know that it's healthy for me to move towards what it is that I need. Then we evolve into the second phase, you, me consciousness. You, me consciousness is where we start to understand, if we follow healthy development, oh, for a child, this is when they start to have enough awareness. I'm not my mom. Little ones, before 3, actually think that their mom is them. They don't really know that they're separate. And then they start to discover, oh, mom is over there and mom has different needs than I have. Now they start to learn about power and it's about difference. And then there's this whole phase. You learn about, oh, this is what you need, this is what I need. And then if we do that one really well, we learn how to relate well. We learn how to relate in difference. Oh, you can be you and I can be me. And let's just learn how to dance here. And it's okay to be different. I think this is where a lot of culture is stuck in the you, me, in this battle and fighting of, this painful place. And then if we do this one really well, we evolve into the third phase of consciousness, which is we consciousness. We consciousness is this place of understanding that if we go on a big global scale, we are all family. We're all on this rock hurling through outer space. We are all brothers and sisters. And the better that we play in the sandbox, the more enjoyable it is for us. And we're not doing a very good job of that right now, because I think we're stuck in me consciousness and you me consciousness. There's a lot of fighting about who has more power and how to meet each other's needs and judgments and criticisms. It's a mess, and that's okay. It's a part of evolution. I'd say culture, globally we're toddlers. We're just trying to figure out our power. But the we consciousness is paramount. It's required for us to have a thriving relationship, because we are a species that is interdependent. What that means is my needs get met if your needs are met. The healthy and more resourced you are, the happy you are, the more you will want to help me out. And the happier and the healthier I am, the more I will naturally, I believe this is true in every human's heart, the more resource safe and secure we are, we naturally want to give to other people. Prime example where this shows, if there's a big natural disaster, all these businesses, people just stop what they're doing to figure out how they can help. That's in our nature. But when I go back to that first marriage, I didn't know that. It was procreation hormones that brought us together. It was, Gabor Mate talks about this. It was the dysfunction that I had in my body from the life that I'd already lived attracted this perfect match for me to either grow up or not. I believe every single human that we attract in our life is a messenger to show us how adult we are. There's a lesson, there's always learning.
Oh, I agree 100%. And then and I so and I love Gabon Mate's work. Do you think that we really do attract a similar experience to childhood in order to heal, recreate, in order to potentially heal past hurts,
It's
past wounds?
Yeah, not only do I think it, I know it in every cell of my being because of the people that I've attracted in my life and the life that I've already integrated. And I'm going to be integrating till the day I died. For anyone who doesn't know me and my story, I was adopted twice in the first year of my life. It's the ultimate severance of what we need biologically to feel safe in the world. And that's our bond with our mother. Day one, I lost that. Then 14 months later, I lost, that bond that I was developing with my grandmother.
Mm.
It's been a hard life being in this body because of that severance. But it's also been the deepest wound has led to the deepest medicine I have to offer the world, because it means I have to learn how to cope with all the fears, the terror, the insecurities that have come from losing that connection that is a biological need. I've had to study the realm of relationship. I've had to be held by therapists, coaches. I've had to make a really bold decision to invest my hard-earned dollars on the place I was the most afraid of, and that is the relationship with myself in my life. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars having people hold space for me so that I can integrate my life. Coaches, therapists, you name it. And I believe that's what we all need to do in a certain level. Some people are healthy and they don't need as much support in certain places. But I believe that we will attract the same old relational patterns again and again and again until we wake up to the truth of it's actually not about them. Whatever we're projecting and making stories about of how they aren't showing up or how they're hurting you, it's not about them. It's about, what I've learned over the years, it's about my imprint. And when I say imprint, I mean my life created a certain type of energy that attracts certain ingredients that mirrors back to me what I believe is true for Mike. This is how our lives can be so different. Like, if I live in the environment that I live in, I will make a bunch of beliefs around where I live. But if I go meet somebody in a different part of the world, I can guarantee you we're going to see the world very different. And so when we come together, we're going to trigger different things in each other because we have completely different beliefs. We have different way of seeing the world. This is what I believe is the wisdom of life is we attract ingredients to mirror back what our current reality is, but it's also always inviting us into a higher reality. Is there a place we can meet the situation, this non-love with love, so that we can grow up and arrive into higher levels of health? Because if we do that, we become more valuable to the world. That's where we then take our wounding, and instead of it being a problem, we turn it into medicine that is in service to others, which I truly believe leads to a fully inspired life. Is where we know ourselves so well that we won't let people treat us like shit. We will teach people how to love us. And then the giving of those gifts attracts opportunities, experiences, and that's what feels good. That's what creates the freedom.
I love that. I know I have spent many, many dollars with with lots of therapists and counselors, EMDR, body work, you name it, I've done it. And um, I know it's not been easy. And I remember at 28, I met a woman at the Waldorf School of Louisville, and she told me, have you read Caroline Miss's work, Sacred Contracts, at all?
Yeah. It's not sacred contracts, but she has another one.
She does have another one, and I
The
can't,
something soul.
Anatomy of the Soul, I think.
That's the one. Yeah.
And well, and then through the Rudolf Steiner lens, he believes that children choose their parents. And when I heard that, I don't know, that was something that I just resonated in my bones. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, so all this sucked. And it's caused me to spend thousands of dollars in therapist's office. And then I had this one counselor here. She was more of a metaphysical counselor. She had an ashram here in our hometown. It was small and she was older. She's since just recently crossed over in the last couple of years. She had a near-death experience in her 40s and still had all this wisdom. But she once said, you come here to teach what you need to learn.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God, it makes sense, right? Like we've come here, we're here, whether we consciously or subconsciously chose it. And like you, I can say, attracted a very similar pattern in my relationships uh, until the more recent one. But again, like each one, I do think each relationship I have had, any significant one, has really helped me to grow and see again the opportunities for growth. And
Yeah.
I want to do that, and I'm with a partner that wants to do that.
Beautiful.
But there are a lot of people I know who are like, okay, there's a blame game sometimes that can go on with couples, or one feels like they're doing the work, or they're hyper focused on why he or she won't do the work and join them. And I have felt that before. Why can't I just get him? Why won't he? Why won't he? And because that's where I am. That's, my side of the reason. Why won't he do that? Right? So, but a lot of my reading, and like one of the more recent, like I read, I think it was like 7 years ago, Conscious Uncoupling, or no, yeah, Conscious Uncoupling. And in her book, she said, I don't care if his he was responsible for 97%. Your focus is on your 3%. Don't worry about his 97%. Focus on where the breakdown occurred. Like where, I don't know. Does that make sense? Like,
It makes sense, and I see it different.
okay, good.
The way Courtney and I look at it, because this is how we live, is, the podcast that we have is called The Sacred We. So what's the sacred we? We believe that relationship, like the essence of the sacred we, is using the medium of the relationship for our own awakening. And so what I mean by that is awakening can sound woo-woo, is higher levels of maturity, higher levels of health, because the healthier we are, the more capacity we have, which means we can do hard shit. That's where we can build the business and we can bring our dream. We can go and have the courage to stand on a stage and do the thing. Or, if there's somebody out there and they want to build, make all these knitted things or whatever it is that your dream is, it can only come to fruition if we grow up. Because if we don't grow up, then the dream, the saddest thing on the planet is it dies with us like 6 feet under. We don't get to bring it into life. So the sacred we, I believe that if I believe life is always inviting us to learn how to do relationship well because it's at our biological nature to be connected to each other. Oh, the healthiest, and this isn't just in our species. If we look at the healthiest animals in the world, the ones that are the strongest learn how to work together. If you look at a pod of dolphins, they learn how to be allies and outsmart a school of millions of fish and use sound and bubbles. And they've learned to really master the gifts that they have to orient around this other, being of nature to get the food in their mouth and to become a thriving species. We're no different. We're not really working well together. Overarching as a whole, we're not working well. And you described it. And how this looks practically in language that makes sense is couples are emotionally beating the crap out of each other. You named it, the blame game, the criticism. The biggest pain point that I've seen over the years that come in my DM threads on Instagram or, you know, come through our podcast is women aren't feeling safe and men are feeling disrespected, underappreciated. That's real. So there's all these concepts and all these things, but if we actually look at what's real and actually happening today in people's homes, women aren't feeling safe and men aren't feeling respected. This is because we're stuck in you me consciousness. And I get this work from Terry Real, one of my mentors. This is what's called the adaptive child. This is where we're in survival and often we don't even know it. We have an underdeveloped brain that didn't get its needs met, or the child that didn't get their needs met while they were developing. And so from an underdeveloped brain, I'll use this as maybe a more specific example. If I'm 3 and I'm scared and I'm learning how to ride a bike, and if I don't get the need of what I need from a father, which is order and structure, if he doesn't provide me experience for me to learn the process of riding the bike, and if while I'm scared and maybe I fall down while I'm trying to learn the bike, if I can't go back to mom and then feel comforted and soothed, I won't feel safe in my body. So if I don't get the order from my father and if I don't get the feeling of safety from my mother, my body will imprint the message. I can't rely, or I'm confused and I don't know what to do here. And then also, I don't feel safe doing this thing that's scary. My body will imprint the remembering of that. And whenever there's ingredients similar to that, which is, you know, being vulnerable and needing help and guidance from my father or from a man, we'll say, or, oh God, I'm scared and I'm actually needing reassurance from my wife. Oh, my body's remembering. Mom wasn't available. I couldn't do that when I was a kid. Now I'm an adult and my body's just flooding memory of not safe to lean in, not safe to be vulnerable. It's not available here. And so this imprint gets pressed into our bodies, and then we unconsciously just play it out in relationship. Courtney and I are sitting there supporting a couple, or if I'm sitting there supporting a couple just on my own, is if I just look as if I was a video camera at the untold story of the body language, I'm looking at two kids having a hard time getting along in a marriage. So when there's conflict, they're hurt. Like there's can't even turn towards each other. Their face is grimacing. They're so afraid of the person that's right in front of them. And often there's nothing bad happening in the moment or just talking. But the body, and this is what's so key and important to understand, our bodies are constantly flooding rememberings of times we didn't get what we actually needed back there. Remember what we talked about in the beginning. You have to integrate our already lived life. What's playing out is we're not integrating. We just keep stacking more shit on top. And then so we are unconsciously expecting these ingredients from our partner, but we're not learning how to give them the things that they need to relax and soften. And so I'm going to make this more relatable because what I've watched really work is where a man learns how to get clear in himself and who he actually is and what helps him feel calm. If he can do that work, he can feel grounded and present and then hold space for whatever is going on for his partner. But if he's not connected to himself, he can't hold what women are wanting. It's presence. Presence equals safety.
So, what would that look like in a man who cannot hold that presence? Is he extra emotional? Does he lose his temper? Like, what's going on if he's not calm, grounded, and centered?
It's going to express in whatever coping strategy that man, as a little boy, learned to take on to deal with the environment stressors that he had growing up. So I'll give you some examples of how I see it with my one-to-one clients. Some men's coping strategy is to dissociate. And so they'll sit there and they're not actually fully in touch with the reality of what's happening in the moment. And they're off dreaming about something or they're thinking about another thing. And so they're sitting there and they're looking at her. And a part of them hears the words that are coming out of her mouth, but he's not actually fully in his body. And then so how this ends up looking is she's pissed. You're not listening.
Right?
You're not listening to me. And he's like, I'm hear you. I hear you. And then he regurgitates all the logical things that are accurate or the words that she said, but he's not actually in his body. So that's one coping strategy that I see. Another coping strategy is where men get really defensive and something gets shared and expressed and emotions are delivered and then defends it, thinks that it takes it personal, takes it in this, I've watched this with men and I've noticed this, even in myself, where it hits this place of, oh, this is her telling me that I'm not good enough. This is my fault. I'm the reason for all this hurt. And there's this internalized ownership that happens because of internalized shame. We'll do almost anything to get away from the feeling of shame because it's icky,
Mhm.
sucks, doesn't feel good. Our energy feels like it's falling through the floor. And so we'll do anything to protect that. And so men defend, deflect. Ah, that's you. That's your shit. You got to go do work. This isn't about me.
What about shutting down or wanting to shut down a conversation around a particular topic. I'm not talking about that. Would you put that? Would you categorize
Yeah, that's the
that?
defend and deflect. Yeah,
Okay.
defend and deflect. Anytime, one of the most common ingredients here is think of if we're backed into a corner. We're going to come up with just about anything to get to safety and get away from the perceived threat. Most of us are walking around and perceiving all these threats coming at us and trying to figure out, how to get out of it. What's really common for a lot of women, it happens for men too. And I'm just speaking about my own orientation. If you're listening, my invitation is find your own orientation to gender here. But for me, it's like what I watch with clients so frequently is if there was a lot of aggression growing up in a household, people's default coping strategy is fawning. Fawning means I'm going to just do whatever to make the situation better.
Mhm.
Oh, no, 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 it's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about me. What do you need? Oh, I'm so sorry. That's fawning. If there's a lot of aggression, it's usually the default. Now, if there's lots of avoidance, often there's lots of just kind of checking out or being confused or just not really knowing what's going on, dissociating. There's all these different wise ways. And I want to name anyone listening, if you feel shame about any of these places, we want to thank our patterns because they kept us safe in a situation where there wasn't enough safety. But it's a losing strategy being an adult. If we offer over withdraw, defending, deflecting, fawning, shutting down, gaslighting is telling a person their experience isn't true. It's just spoiler. Every experience we're having as a human being is true for us and it matters. If somebody tries to tell you ever that your reality and experience isn't real, that's gaslighting. It's not kind. It's our system trying to integrate. Even if the facts aren't straight of what's right now, there's some wisdom in what we experience is true and we have to be met and in a place where that's allowed so that we can tell the untold story of our life and integrate it so that we can catch up to speed of what's actually true and present today. And so there's all these different ways that we will cope to get away from the perceived threat and the connection. And most couples right now are just in a lot of perceived threat. And the work is starting to take ownership where it's not about the other person actually. And the more, and this is one of the most important ingredients, if you're listening, the one thing that I invite you to take away, if you just start practicing ownership and taking responsibility, you will be offering over the most helpful ingredient possible to start creating safety in the relationship. And the attack will stop if it's on the other side. Things will start to settle because our bodies, our nervous systems start to feel safe if somebody's willing to take responsibility for where their power, which is the way that they're relating, is impacting the other person. Because if a person can see that that's happening, that means they're aware enough in their body to say, God, totally, I can see, even if I'm not doing anything wrong, some part of me looks like it's created a fear in you. Oh, that matters to me. I don't know what it is, but I want to sit here, slow down, and be with you to get curious what your body needs to feel safe with us in this moment. That would be an example of leading in a more mature way that tends the sacred we. That's how we come out of the you, me, is saying, I see you and I feel you, and I'm going to adjust myself to be with you so that we can stay connected in this experience where we're losing each other. That's what then feeds the we, and that's what brings us into safety.
All right, so you mentioned, and that you were speaking to men, I guess, or the masculine energy in a relationship, let's say, right? This is where you could ground and center taking responsibility, whether you're male or female, right? I guess.
Anyone in relationship.
But
So,
as a
yes.
male in particular, to create that safe container so that with more women coming to you guys feeling unsafe. I can relate.
Yeah.
Um, but as mirrors, and men feel disrespected. I also wonder, does that create the same sort of sense of lack of safety? I'm not sure. If would you say?
Yeah. I'd say the biggest pain problem that men are having is that they themselves don't feel safe in their body because they have a bunch of wounding from their mother.
Hmm.
Wounding from both sides, but I want to go to just like the essence of where safety ultimately gets instilled in the nervous system is the nurturing, the softness, and the attunement and the care of mama. Because mothers are biologically designed to always be tracking the coherence of the relational space. This goes back to primitive times. They're the ones when the men are off hunting to come bring back meat. They're having to hold many things in the awareness. Hey, is everyone okay here? Is everyone getting along? Because we all need to be getting along. Because if anyone's off their game, the lion's going to come bursting in here and it's going to eat our kids. It's going to kill us. Like we got to pay attention. And my imagining as you hear this, and if not, I'd love to hear, but women's brains are designed, their amygdalas are more active. It's called the mama amygdala, like tending, hey, we got to make sure everything's going on here, going on well here, because then the whole system thrives. And that is always going to be true. That's the gift of what a woman brings. Now, what's tricky is women, I perceive, this is just how I see it, is women are using more of their voice and expressing more of their displeasure and their grievances of where society, culture, and men have not been holding them well so that they could do their role well.
Hmm.
Now, what's tricky is men, because they grew up with under-resourced moms, and again, no mom's bad or wrong, it's just a cultural thing. Cultures had a hard time holding moms. Then the husbands have had a hard time. So like if we just look at the story of culture, there was a time not very many years ago where the general narrative was women are to be seen, not heard, and their clock is on the stove. Like it's outrageous that that was a time of our life. Like that's where we were. And now women are saying, hey, I don't like being treated this way. I don't like being completely dependent on you bringing in money and my needs only get met based off of how much money you bring in. That's such a vulnerable place to be. That's frightening.
Hmm.
And so now women have empowered themselves and they're like, hey, the boss babes and all these things. And I've been on a few podcasts where it's a boss babe podcast where they've actually said the words, I'm never dating a man again. And now if I really listen to what's being said behind those words is I have been hurt so many damn times by men. I don't feel safe and I'm not going to open to him. Going back to this piece with men to bring the compassion for them, they didn't get what they needed often from a mom to feel fully safe and secure in their own body that they can't hold space for the grievances that are coming up from women that aren't just about him.
Okay,
It's the
so
group. Yeah.
I'm a mom, and so
Yeah.
with just like and hearing this, right? And not to say it's not somewhat triggering. Why isn't it the father at all? And you
It's
can
always
say,
it is the father. It's both.
okay, okay,
So
but
this is
from
the
the
most
mom,
important.
they're looking
Yeah.
for this nurturance,
Yes.
and having felt like truly under-resourced as a mom, having to work like, and this is my experience.
Yeah.
I was working part-time. I call myself a part-time stay-at-home mom. And
Mm.
we had an extra child in our home while I homeschooled. I waited tables at night. I ran a small kettle corn business on the weekends. And I had it was a lot going on.
That's a
I was
lot.
right. I was exhausted, and I know I'm not the only mom who is, but when you use the words under-resourced, to me, I think of the women who are trying to do it all and also take care of a home and take care of their children. So it is it's difficult in today's age to be, I think, well resourced unless you are coming together with, for me, it is a man. who wants to carry some of that personally, and I even agree now, some of that financial weight to help provide, protect, take care of.
Yeah. First of all, I'm so sorry that you've had to hold so much, and I can see how much you've had to hold, and you're not alone. There's so many women that have had to show up completely imbalanced, over masculinized.
Hmm.
And I'm so sorry because that's the ultimate devastation is a mother that's trying to do that without the support that she needs.
And the thing is, like until doing this work over the last 6 years, I didn't even realize like that's where I was. I'm sure I'm not the only woman that would say that either, that I
Yeah.
had t stepped into this over masculinized role in order to just make everything hold it together,
To
drive
bring
the
or
bus.
to bring order to life. And
Yeah.
so I want to speak to this because this is what I found is the biggest unlock once people understand this because there's no one to blame. It's not the mom, it's not the dad, it's the relationship and the lack of it.
Mm, mm,
Because there's value and there's really deep rooted value in the role of father and the role of mother. And what we need as humanity is connected, um, healthy partnerships to be able to raise healthy humans. We need the gifts on both sides and we need there to be balance. Now, this is the unlock. I want to oversimplify this because this can be a confusing topic. The essence of what I described that we all need from a mom is safety. Mom needs to feel safe to offer over the safety for her little ones. And in order for the safety to be there, we need dad to do dad's role, father energy. This is what I call good father energy. Good father energy is about bringing in order. We look in nature, it's the banks of the river, guiding and supporting the water to flow and move in the way that it's meant to. Mother energy is deeply feminine and it's forever changing. It's the great mystery. It's what makes life delicious. But if there isn't the order from the father, isn't if there isn't the banks, it's really unsettling and it leads to floods. It leads to devastation. And what we're learning, I believe, together, all of us, is can we take ownership and recognize the importance of our roles? If I'm a father, I'm really here to learn how to parent myself by learning and discerning, am I lacking order in my life or am I feeling unsafe? If I'm feeling unsafe, I need to have someone hold and support me until I feel safe.
mhm.
That's where I get to mother myself by attuning. I need a coach or a therapy session or to go to my men's work. And for men listening, I'd say the biggest takeaway if you're in a place where you don't feel safe and you don't have order in your life, if you don't have either, go to a men's group, whatever it is. Find some place you can build healthy relationships with other men because that's what brings order back into our biology. Sitting around with other men that can relate with the man's experience. It's not going to happen in the partnership. You're going to get eaten alive if you're trying to do it on your own because most of us didn't get the safety and we didn't get modeled the order. So, how this looks is a bunch of women trying to bring order to their own life and provide for themselves so that they can actually hopefully land in the part they're longing for. And that's to be in the soft, tender being part of themselves so that they can let their womb speak to them in how to raise their children and what they want to bring into the world. But it can't happen without the order. So, women are working their asses off to bring it to themselves because men aren't showing up. And then men are working their asses off to figure out maybe if I provide enough, maybe she'll be more kind and compassionate towards me. And then I'll feel safe to be the more vulnerable part of myself so that I can feel good in myself and know that I belong and I matter.
Yeah, and that's a mess.
It's a mess. And what a beautiful thing for us to learn how to do together and reassure each other. This is what we're learning together. Let's put the damn weapons down. The the woman's not the problem, the man's not the problem. We're just learning. We haven't really been handed down the healthiest blueprint here to do relationship well, and it's hurting us. It's hurting our kids. Let's do something about that. This is why Courtney and I birthed the Sacred We. We've devoted, and we know we need to devote the rest of our lives to be forever students of this medium of relationship. Because if we aren't parenting our son well, we're just perpetuating the hurt we're currently experiencing in our culture, which is you, me, black, white, right, wrong. It's not a way of relating that leads to us enjoying life. But we didn't get handed the blueprint. If we think about this, all the most beautiful structures that have lasted through time and space, very intentionally put together, solid foundation, and it's been able to weather the storms. And now we're at a time where everything wants to be built faster, like faster, quicker, stronger, but it's a weak foundation. We're looking at the limitations of power trying to make its way into life too quickly. It's not integrated. And so now those systems are crumbling and we're going back. This is why people want to flee and go back to the land and farm. There's just something being remembered in people where they want to go back into community and sing and hug each other because that way was scary. This is why people are returning to the land because she's the great mother that's holding us all in this mess. She always has from the moment we were born. No matter what we've done, what we felt, she's always been there holding our bodies. That's a simple truth. That's not
Mhm.
woo woo. That's real. I think we can all feel that truth. Yeah, I've had this and divorces and and injuries and you know what? Every breath I've needed has been there. Every time I take a step, the ground is beneath me. That's what we need from women who embody the great mother in human form. How do we listen to what she's saying? How do I listen to what you're saying? And the pain and the turmoil of being a mother, trying to do it all so that you can really give everything that you want to give your children. What do we need to do to create a better experience here? How do we create more safety? How do we listen to the wisdom of where you aren't feeling safe so that we as men can bring order to that, so that we can bring order to our own lives, so that we can be the banks and really sit back and witness, whoa, yeah, you tell me where this doesn't feel good. Because if we learn to listen, what I've learned in my relationship with Courtney is I need her initiations. And when I say initiation is I need her truth, her courage and her strength to share where my power is not being used in a way that feels good for her.
Mhm.
Because every time she does that, she's mirroring back to me in a place I potentially am not integrated.
Mhm.
I don't like being a man in the world that perpetuates experiences for other people to not feel safe. Brings in shame and embarrassment for me. It doesn't feel good.
Mhm.
So the gift of me learning how to bring what I call gentle power in the world comes from me listening to Courtney, the example and the embodiment of the mother, of the feminine. What do you see that I don't see from my role? I want to pay attention to that. And I'm going to learn to slow down. I'm going to care about that because then what I offer is going to be more attuned to a situation that creates safety. The more order I can bring to my own life, the more order I can bring to her life. The more order there is to her life, the safer she's going to feel. And she's going to give me all those delicious, mysterious gifts. They're going to give me exactly what I need that I don't even know I need yet. That's
Well,
the
and then to your little
reconciliation.
your son too, right?
Yeah.
Right. It's
Well,
that
then,
ripple effect.
yes. And that's what informs the new human. Like, that's what informs the next generation is them witnessing that relationship healing and coming closer together. And we've watched this with our son. The evidence in it is where he'll look at us adults, and he'll share himself. He'll use his voice and he'll express when things hurt his feelings. He's learning how to do that in himself because of how we model it.
Well, I was listening to one of your episodes, and Courtney was referring to, I guess, is his name Stan Tacken, a new name for me. So that's somebody got to look
Yeah.
him up. But how, and I can't remember again which episode, but you all were talking about how when you all would experience rupture, especially rupture that lasted too long, and there was not a repair in that rupture coming together or regulation, that more illness, injuries in your kiddo, or like falls. And I mean, like, it makes sense to me. Like, and I can say this when my parents are divorced. My mom had breast cancer when I was 11, 35, she's 72 now. But I mean, I know they had a very dysfunctional, my blueprint was pretty chaotic. But like it came up I do believe that when there's dis-ease in a relationship, when there's dis-ease, I don't like to use the word disease, because even a disease is dis-ease in the body, whether you've been with a diagnosis of heart disease or cancer, diabetes, right? That's dis-ease in our body. But you've got this dis-ease in the relationship, that too is going to trickle out. The kids know, right? There's a feeling there.
And there's nothing bad or wrong about it. It's how to relate with it. And this is what we're
Right.
being invited to look at is how are we relating with life? We can't avoid the vicissitudes of life. The ups and downs will always happen, but we're being invited to grow up and learn how to be in right relationship with the mess, with the muck, with the shadows, because we all have them.
Right.
And a lot of us will try to do anything to avoid being seen in them. This goes back to me consciousness. We don't want to be seen where we aren't perfect, where we aren't strong, where we aren't showing up. Like that's the biggest pain point that I see in partnerships. Men will do just about anything to be avoid a mirror and a reflection or a report card and where he's not showing up.
So, okay, so I know you have a men's group, you've got a couples community, and I think you're getting ready to transition into a new sort of format or platform with live webinars and potentially maybe in-person retreats, but we don't know when those are. But when we're talking about men, would you, okay, I'm going to go back. You speak to men a lot. You've got this awakening man, but then you also have the initiated man, right?
Mhm.
These are both um, community groups. Are they circles? Like, where does one find those? And if, like, as a woman, I want my man to join, what do I do?
Yeah. Such a good
Right?
question. Such a good
Yeah.
question. For any, if there's a man listening, one of the easiest ways to dip your toe, if you dip your toe in, if you're listening to this and there is a resonance, my free community is the Awakening Man. So you can go on school community, it's SKOOL. Go on there and you look up Awakening Man and you just join it. It's free. And that's for a man who maybe is just starting to wake up and realize, oh, my power is impacting the world and how I'm experiencing life. I don't like this. I want to change it. That's the place to start. Now, for men who've been doing work for a while and they've been seeing a therapist and they've gone to, experiences and retreats or whatever, and they've done some work, this is what I've created. And it's a program. It's not just a community, it's a program. It's called the Initiated Man. And this is for men who are really willing to make the decision to be in the practice of brotherhood and deepen their relationship to themselves so that they can master their life, stabilize their home, and earn the respect they're looking for from their partner and from their bloodline. That's the initiated man. And then for the men who are really devoted and wanting to make this change quicker, that's the one-to-one work that I do. It's the most important work that we will ever do in our lives is investing in ourselves. If we don't have a good relationship with ourselves, it shows with the relationships we have outside. That's our report card. Our relationship with ourselves is mirrored back by the relationships we have around us. And I if I were to speak to my younger 20-year-old self, I would tell him, invest your dollars on being supported with who you are, because the way you're doing it isn't working, and it's not going to work because you didn't get enough of what you needed. It's going to happen in mentorship. It's going to happen in guidance. Find a guide, pray for a guide. Don't give up until you find your guide.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so I want to, so okay, that's the advice you're giving your 20-year-old self. When did you when did you decide your life was sucking? How old were you?
I'm a slow learner, and I can't even give credit to where I learned this. It was a spiritual mentor of mine in my 30s.
Okay.
When I was humbled by life, I was humbled by divorce. And this spiritual metaphor that I still live by is life will give us messages by tickling us with a feather. And those messages won't stop. The feather will keep tickling our ear and whispering, and it'll be those little gut feelings or those little, I think maybe I should stop doing this thing. And if we don't listen, that feather comes wrapped up in a brick. For me, the divorce was the brick. I wasn't listening to the tickles of the feather. I wasn't listening to, hey, Mike, you should maybe stop drinking. Mike, you should stop just watching Netflix specials every night. Mike, you should stop speaking poorly to your wife and criticizing her. Mike, you should probably, all these little nigglies that when I look and reflect back, they were there, but I was so numb in my body and my nervous system that I didn't know how to I didn't have the tool or the instrument to even hear it until I got the brick. And unfortunately, some people learn that way in the divorce. The having my wife walk in the door, look at me, and I was blindsided, and she said, after 7 years, I'm done. That was the moment I made a new decision that I'm going to go get help and support because I have no idea what I'm doing actually.
So when you say you were blindsided, you also had these whispers. You can recall the whispers along
Only
the
on
way.
this side of it. I didn't
Okay, on
notice.
this side of it.
I,
But
yeah,
looking back, you could see that. You can reflect back.
Yeah. And this is the whole essence of the work that I do with men. And this is what I call relational authority, which is three pillars. First one is initiation. Second one is integration. Third one's inspiration. Life is always initiating us. If we don't have the instrument to notice what the initiation is, which is the whispers and the nigglies and the tickle of the feather, if we're numb in our body, I'm going to go practical. If we're numb or dissociated, we don't have the instrument to receive the initiation. So we unconsciously live out our life through the patterns that we were given from our parents or from our culture, whoever the caregivers were. Now, once a man learns and gets the ingredients to actually move into the process of initiation, all of a sudden now he can listen and notice all those things, which is why once I got help and support, I could reflect back on, oh my God, life was trying to tell me I did have a gut feeling. Oh, I did have an insight. Oh, I did have an aha, but I wasn't modeled how to do something with that by my father. I just collapsed. My body learned to collapse. And so I wasn't able to integrate the initiation, which leads to inspiration. If a man moves into the process of, life is always initiating me, and we grab the insights, the ahas, and we listen to the messages, we then do something about it. Masculine energy, doing, becoming. We do something, new behaviors, and we go show up as that new way of being in the doing. And then we start to experience the organic, juicy part, which is living a place of inspiration. Wayne Dyer described it in spirit. When we're living inside of our own experience and we're integrating, the instrument is so clean and clear that we can actually let in the beauty that's here right now without our brain flooding into the past.
So aside from the whispers,
Yeah.
was your wife at the time also, was she saying anything to you? I'm just curious because, like when you say blindsided, I could tell you my kid's dad said the same thing. And I was like, dude, are you serious? Like, we've been to three counselors. You didn't show up for one of them. And the guy looked at me because I don't really know what you're working with. But, when he acted like he was blindsided, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, we have been having the same conversation for 12 years.
Yeah. And this
There
is
was
what,
that
yeah.
inability to hear or listen or whatever. Like, he was getting the message from me. He may have also been getting the whispers, but like when you does that, I guess, was it
What
coming?
you're, yeah, what you're describing is numbness in the nervous system, collapse in the nervous system, shutdown in the nervous system. This is where we can't run from our nature. We have a body, and there's certain ingredients that our body requires for us to be in it.
Mhm.
And if we're not in it and it's not safe to be in it, we dissociate or we move into a
Mhm.
different part of experience, and we will wait until there's enough safety to land back in it. And so, practically, if somebody's out there, and this, I really feel your pain here, Elizabeth, because there are so many women screaming the message of what's actually going on, and men are often so numb that they don't even know what they don't know yet because they're numb. They can't even feel that part of life because they don't feel safe enough yet to feel all the grievances that are living in their bodies, which is what motivated me to do my work, is create the safety that I received from other people holding me, and in reciprocity to what it's done for my life, going from a plumber gas fitter to supporting high functioning humans to live a thriving relationship and getting paid to do it. It's a dream. It's the life of my dreams that I didn't even know was possible, but it's because people helped me and I was able to integrate my life. And so this is what men are needing. This is what women are needing. This is what we are needing, is to be held by somebody who has the capacity and the skill to help us integrate our life so that we can come out of the numbness, so that we can thaw and actually feel what's here right now.
Mm. That makes sense. And I'm sure that doesn't just answer my question. I know I'm not alone. And
No,
um, uh, I think this is where just, I know I want to honor your time because I could probably go on and on. But the quality of the community for the man, right? Because I think, um, many of the outlets, oh, I've got a men's group, well, you're drinking at the bar. And I'm not saying, you know what I mean?
it's
Like,
not a men's group, that's a boys group. And
right.
I'm not trying to shame anyone there, but let's, if we're going to honor nature, and this is what I'm this isn't even just me speaking as a man. This is me speaking, being initiated by a woman. And this is only something that I've learned and feel that's true in my body from deeply listening to a woman. That isn't man behavior.
Mhm.
Man behavior creates safety for himself and everyone around him. If we go into a situation where there's a bunch of guys drinking beers, doing the thing, you know what's dangerous about that is, like, go have fun, great. But if that's the way of being in the day-to-day life, you can't actually attune to your child's needs. You can't attune to your wife's needs. You can't attune to where your brother sitting next to you is maybe not being real with himself and showing up for his life, and he's now harming, the safety of his family. Like, what are you doing sitting in your ass and drinking beer and not figuring out how to grow up and evolve to do the thing that's going to bring in more resource to the family so your wife can soften and settle?
Mhm.
I needed someone to have that conversation with me in my 20s because I wasn't around it. So I hung out in that environment. Yeah, smoke pot, drink, whatever. And I hurt myself because those boyish ingredients that hadn't integrated, that hadn't grown up, led to a very unsafe partner who started to seek outside of the relationship and left.
Mhm.
That's nature honoring what's actually really happening. She's not bad and wrong for doing it. I'm not bad and wrong for not knowing. I didn't get it handed down. So then I had to go do the humbling thing and pay thousands of dollars to go work with somebody who was doing the work, that was becoming a man, and for me to learn how to be a man in his presence.
Yeah, so finding a man's group that well, I think I guess the main my main I guess wisdom and mission would message to get out there is like if you are that man or woman, right? You want to be seeking men who have the same goal. They also want to be men. They want to embody masculine, the masculine essence, true order, direction, calm presence, right? Don't so be maybe discerning if they don't want your group, right? Or be discerning in when you're when choosing that group of men to spend that time with, men of growth.
Yeah.
Because I could see all kinds of boys clubs in my town in Kentucky. You know, it's bourbon industry, it's gambling, it's horse racing. And so like life is centered around these things. And I'm sure there's men's groups here, but like, just generally speaking, it seems there's more of that than, you know.
Which of course there is, because those are all soothing agents. Any group or organization that's rooted in addiction, gambling, drinking, what's happening is there's an agreed upon shared experience of let's soothe with this substance together,
Yeah,
because then it's easier to face of, hey, I'm not alone doing it, it's not a problem.
right.
But if the essence of it is to feel better in the moment, but it's not leading to feeling better over time, sustainably becoming a better person, the true essence of masculinity is becoming. If we're not becoming a safer version of man, we're not actually as valuable to humanity. We have to actually attune to what's going on in the world. And this isn't woo woo. This is really happening. There's war and breakdown and chaos in the world. And there's lots of beauty, but we don't want to bypass what's actually going on. Women aren't feeling safe. Divorce rate is high. Kids are dysfunctional. They're cutting themselves. They're like, it's insane. And if we actually listen to what's actually happening on the ground, on the earth today, this moment, men are being invited to become safer men, because an under resourced man is a dangerous man. But a man who moves towards resource can become a better version of himself, can become safer. Then the women are safer, the kids are safer, and then he will attract other men who also buy into that is actually what a warrior does. A modern day warrior is a man who does the work to become a safer version of himself, and how good it feels to be around other men willing to go into the most scary place on the planet, which is their own heart. Learning how to feel feelings together, learning how to take responsibility for their life, own their financial world, own their physical health, and then together grow and encourage and pick each other up, challenging each other to grow farther, but then also calling each other where you're hiding. That's the essence of masculinity. That's the essence of brotherhood. And that's why I don't think men can grow up if they choose to let themselves move towards the thing of comfort and feeling good just in the moment that doesn't lead to better in the future.
Hmm. Well, thank you so much. Now, your
Yeah.
website, sacredrelating.com, right?
So that's Courtney and I's. So
Okay.
sacredrelating.com is for Courtney and I's work, and mine is it's mikeelliott.com.
Oh, okay. So you have two.
Yeah.
And then you have a couples program, but you also have, right, a couples community. Now, is that something that can be found on school also?
No, we've just evolved from the couples
Oh,
community, and we're
okay.
gonna in the next few weeks here, we're gonna be doing webinars. But if anyone's feeling a resonance here, if any man's feeling a resonance here, the work to move towards is the Awakening Man. That's the
On
free
school.
place. You can
Okay.
check it out. It's on school. You can just dip your toes in, get to a feel for the environment, and if you want to go deeper, there's you can decide for yourself how deep you want to go.
And then they can catch your and Courtney's podcast together, The Sacred We, on Spotify,
Yeah,
Apple.
for the women listening, and if you want to go deeper and there's resonance to this, that's the Sacred We podcast, where you get both Courtney and I, you
Okay.
know,
Would you
sharing
say
all of
why?
our
You say
wisdom.
for women, it's not for men?
It's for women and men. I sorry,
Okay.
just because there's an
Okay.
offer
Okay.
for men is here you can go here, but for the women that I didn't give you an offer, you can go over to the Sacred We. And for any orientation, the Sacred We is the place where you can get
Okay.
the essence
Yeah.
of our work.
Yeah, I love that. I don't know if you read oh, I think it's The Seed of the Soul,
Mm, no.
Gary Zukav.
Oh
He
yeah,
wrote,
I love
I think,
Gary.
two books, but one of them, there's a whole, which I love the way he described, like, he didn't call it a sacred, oh my goodness, but more of a soul sacred contract, but that's not even it. But I was like, oh, but like, the purpose was growth. Like different than just your traditional marriage, right? But like there's this true purpose of coming together for two people to evolve and grow. And like that is, to me, like that
Yeah.
is why.
Yeah, that's Gary, one of Gary's biggest messages in the eldership that he's in right now in his life, and that is sacred relationship, which is using the medium of the relationship for our own awakening. We're kind of adding my words there, but that's the essence of what he's describing, that a true relationship is being in the love and care for each other.
Yeah, and then one other thing, just to kind of conclude this conversation, was that people in relationships, right? They live longer.
Oh yeah.
That's what Courtney said in the episode I caught, right? So why
That's
not? Why
absolutely.
would you
Yeah.
not be like trying your best
Yeah.
to do this?
That's the motivation. Somebody who is not bonded to another human being is dumping cortisol in their body, and it is actually literally taking years off of your life. So if that isn't incentive enough to do relational work, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, thank you so much, Mike. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to those out there, please be sure to check out Mike Elliott's work along with his wife, Courtney Wren. You can find all that information in the show notes below.
Such an honor to be here.
Let me see. What's this? And